Welcome to the Astoria Film Festival virtual step and repeat interviews. I'm here today with Joseph Rana, whose film BACI appears in our 2020 film festival. Welcome, Joseph.
Hi, Nina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm doing good. I'm just chilling.
You're chilling. So Joseph is also one of our junior advisory board members, and he also has been doing some of these interviews, so you would have seen him on here. But I met Joseph when he was a high school film student, and now he's a college film student and one of the very best I've ever met. So I'm happy to talk to you.
Thank you for the kind words.
Tell us about your film and what led you to create that specific film.
Okay, so this year I took like an intro to film class, and our professor was like, "I'd like you to create a documentary," and I was like, "Oh, what am I gonna make it on?" And I swear I was bouncing back and forth, like, what could I possibly document that I just stepped into college? It was like late September. So I was like, oh, I just got a dog less than a year ago, but I don't live with this dog. It lives with my grandmother. But I was like, let's kind of like dig into that. Let's like delve into that. And like, maybe I'm just scratching the surface. So I decided let's dig into it. So for a good 2 months, I just would come home. I lived in the city, so I'd come home to Queens like every weekend. I'd bring all the equipment from the equipment room up on the third floor, be carrying it all around the city, bring it all the way back to Queens, just to spend a weekend with my grandmother and just record like a fly on the wall for like 8 weeks at least. And I was like, what could this possibly be about? Like, I'm just recording my dog. But then it kind of just like, I feel like with all documentaries, it grows into something that you don't even want it to grow into. It's kind of got like a life of its own. And it ended up becoming this project that kind of like shone a light on how my grandmother like always wants something to take care of. It keeps her occupied because she had my mother and her two brothers, and then she had me and my two brothers, and now me and my two brothers are grown. We're like in two of us are in college, one's going to high school next year. So she's just sits around the house, she watches these soap operas all day, and that's kind of what I picked up on. And it's kind of like she needs something to take care of, something to like keep her occupied. So she's like what 80, like 78.
She's not going to be happy that you said 80.
And and she's got this crazy rambunctious dog. It's got like so much energy. So just to see the contrast of the two was really nice. And it kind of just like shined this light that and this I saw it in like this perspective that I never really saw it in before. So I'm kind of glad I decided to just like wing it and make this film, because it became something so much more than I could ever have imagined. And it means so much to me now. It's like one of my favorite things I've ever made.
Is there any like documentary that ever like is shot deliberately? You know what I mean? I always wonder, like, did anyone set out deliberately to say something like this specific thing, or did they just take footage and figure out what the footage said to them? You know, and I think as a person who wants to primarily be an editor, like documentary is the meat of it, right? Because that's, you're getting all this stuff and then you have to make it say something. So like you've directed other pieces. How did it differ in like directing a narrative versus compiling a documentary?
I think there's no, like you said it perfectly. Directing a narrative, there's like a script and then you follow it and there's a shot list. And of course, things like spontaneous things will happen on set when you're shooting a narrative. But with documentary, it's so like on the go. You just have to just always be rolling, and like there's just no right way to do it is what I learned. Like I didn't realize how much of like the story comes to life once you sit down and you start to go through that footage, the raw footage, and you just sit there and you think, okay, well, like I need to break this up into 3 separate acts to tell a story. How do I do that? So basically when I felt like I was editing this, I felt like I was writing the script, but with the clips in my timeline, just putting it together. And it's so tedious and you have to listen to every tidbit, because that one tidbit could be like the perfect bridge to the next act. And that's exactly what I learned with this project. So yes, for someone who's like going into editing, documentary is so like, you have to be so editing savvy to get it right, I feel like.
That you have to be like an editing director, you know, editing director slash writer. You have to do it all in documentary. Um, what what are you working on these days? Oh, actually, before I say that, how did your grandmother react to the movie?
When I told her I wanted to make a documentary about her, she was like, "Oh, okay, like whatever." She didn't think it was gonna be so like hands-on. She would get so mad. I'd be like, "Hi, Grandma, I'm coming over today." She's like, "Again? Like for the 15th time?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I need more," because I'm in the editing room and I'm like, "This doesn't make sense." So she would get so mad because I'd be like following her around. She'd be like walking him and I'd be behind on the camera, trotting behind. And she'd be like cooking and I'd be there. And she'd be, like throwing him like a little piece of meatball or something, the dog. And she'd be like, "Can you stop recording? Please?" And she's like,
What
"So
did she say when she saw the final product?
oh my god, she so awkward. Let me tell you, we sat down to do the first interview, and I had like a couple students in my class, like my friends helped me out, and she sat down, and she's so extra. Let me tell you, she stopped acting like herself. She acted like she was on Barbara Walters. She put on this voice, and she was like, "Your mother wanted this dog, and then I decided I'm gonna take care of it." I was like, "Can you stop making that voice? I just need you to be completely real with me. It's so hard to get her to act like a."
Wait, does she not have a Queen's accent in real life?
No, that's exactly what she sounds like. She told us her name is Dolly.
What was that? So what are you working on these days?
What am I working on these days? Well, I'm taking online classes. That's really all I've been doing. Me and a couple of friends from my classes, we're all editing majors now at
At
school.
SVA?
So where they give like LinkedIn, I think through SVA they give us like free online classes, and it's like a bunch of stuff. It's called Linda. So every Wednesday we like link up and we review like the lesson plan that we picked. And we've been learning like a bunch about like Adobe Premiere and how to export and all those like settings and stuff. So it's pretty fun. So I've really just been focusing on that. Yeah, and then school starts in about 7 weeks. So
What and you had COVID.
I did. I did have
How
COVID.
was that?
Um, I can't really speak because I didn't have it that bad. I really didn't have it as bad as everyone else, but my father and I had it, and we all got the antibodies test, the whole family. My younger brother had no symptoms at all, was completely fine, had the antibodies. It was so weird, but yeah, no taste, no smell. That's it, and like body aches, like minor body aches. But I swear, I lost that sense of smell and taste for like a solid 7 weeks. I didn't smell or taste anything for like almost 2 months. Like it's
Wow. Really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, it comes back. Like they were like, "Oh, in like 2 weeks," and I'm like, "Okay, it's like 3 weeks, and I still can't smell or taste anything." And they're like, "Well, it'll come back gradually," and it took 2 months for it to fully come back. And sometimes I still can't. Like occasionally, I'll be eating like pasta, and I'm like, "Why can I barely taste this?"
Oh
So
wow. I didn't realize that.
yeah,
Crazy. Well, knock on wood. I hope everything's okay.
yeah.
I hope there's no lingering repercussions.
Me too. I swear. I feel like it's gonna be one of those things that like 5 years, 10 years from now, they're gonna find like something that it does to all the people it infected, and it's not gonna be good. So I'm kind of scared.
You'll all become tap dancers.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Can you, there's a film I want to see.
There's a film I want to see. I'm on it. I'm writing it.
Um, where can people find you?
Rana.com. You can see a bunch of stuff there, a bunch of my work.
And on Instagram at
Spliced by Rana, SPLICEDBYRANA.
nice editor handle.
Thank you. It took me like a
And
sec.
anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Um, come to the Astoria Film Festival. Come support your local artists and come watch some good stuff.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you so much for having me.
Love you
Much love.
always.
Love you more.